This is Fearless Beauties, a podcast dedicated to developing voices of color in the beauty industry. We are talking to estheticians, skin specialists, and business owners to uncover best skin practices, tactical career tips, and ultimately, how we can create a better beauty industry together. I'm your host, Mary Nielsen.
And I'm your other host, Taylor Phillip. So welcome to episode 5 of the Fearless Beauties podcast. Today we are talking about paving the way for a more inclusive beauty industry. And Mary and I, we are going to be breaking down some of the top beauty companies in the industry, talking about what they can do better in regards to inclusivity and diversity, and kind of, putting them out there a little bit. So let's just go ahead and get started.
Yeah, I remember when we kind of talked about the leading beauty companies last season and how most of them are, run by middle-aged or, as some people would say, more mature white men who are in their 50s, 60s, even 70s. And they're sort of defining in some of these more particularly, I think, luxury brands. Is luxury brands the right word? Department store brands, maybe?
I would say that. Yeah.
They're sort of setting the standard for what's considered beautiful. Then I think that they really got kind of knocked around a little bit with Black Lives Matter and really people being more vocal about the lack of inclusivity, lack of representation. And they pledged to do things. And so, it was interesting for me this morning to spend a little bit of time kind of researching, did they really follow through on what they said they were going to do? Or have some of them even said they were going to do anything?
Exactly. And I did some research this morning too, but more on the side of what do the leadership teams look like in some of those brands? Like, is it diverse or is it, full of all European men and women? So I think that the research I did was pretty interesting. What would you say?
Well, tell me what you found out.
Okay, so I did not research all of the brands because that would take weeks. But I did research like Estee Lauder, for example. And Estee Lauder is one of the world's leading manufacturers and marketers of quality skincare, makeup, fragrance. And of course, they make tens and billions of dollars a year. So what I found, I looked up just, Estee Lauder leadership in Google. And out of the 15 on the executive committee, one is of color, who is an African-American woman. Her name is Deidre Stanley. She's the executive VP and general counsel, and she joined in 2019, so she's fairly new. But I think that was like the main thing. So 1 out of the 15 is of color. Everyone else is a man or woman of European descent. So I was looking at her some more. I went on her Indeed profile, and she also did like an interview where she was asked what she sees as the most exciting opportunity in the global luxury sector today. And she responded in quotes, "I am most excited about the many opportunities to better address the needs of our diverse consumer base, which includes efforts to drive greater local and cultural relevance and create a more inclusive range of products for people of all skin tones." End quote. So I thought that was great.
Well, that's pretty good. I kind of looked a little bit because it was new to me, this 15% pledge.
Oh, yeah.
But have any of these beauty brands jumped on this 15% pledge?
Not that I have seen
No.
in their websites, no.
No, Sephora has, but I don't know if you would. Sephora is just more of a distributor of things, but you don't see the big brands. Because we do talk about, at the school, we talk about how there's eight beauty brands that sort of control everything and all the different companies that they have. So when you're looking at like Estee Lauder owns MAC, Jo Malone, Aveda, Kilian, Becca, Clinique,
That's a lot.
Le
That's
Labo, Origins, Too Faced, Glam Glow, Smashbox, La Mer are all owned by Estee Lauder.
wow. And for those who don't know, the 15% pledge is a promise to commit 15% of shelf space to Black-owned businesses. They're saying just Black because I think the recent like uproar of Black Lives Matter, like you mentioned, and also like the Fenty Beauty products, like
Right.
they really did something. So they're saying 15% of shelf space should be dedicated to Black-owned businesses. I mean, there are some people that are like, okay, well, why do we need this pledge? I have heard of some people saying, the whole all lives matter thing. What do you think about that, Mary? I mean, I guess it's kind of, I don't think we're going down a rabbit hole, but I think it kind of has something to do with the 15%.
Yeah. Well, I think that people that say that they don't want to endorse Black Lives Matter or Brown Lives Matter because they want to say all lives matter. Well, of course all lives matter. But who are the people that have been disadvantaged for centuries? Who are the people that are being affected by the systemic racism that exists in the beauty industry, in finance, in housing, in education? It is Black and brown lives. So we have to do something about it. If you don't do something about the marginalized people in your community, what kind of society are we? So I think that we have to make big shifts. I think this 15% pledge, actually, I loved it. And I'm like, oh, how did I not know about this? But
Do you think these top beauty brands, like the CEOs of them, do you think that they have more of an all lives matter approach since they are not really doing like a follow up of them saying, oh, we're going to be more diverse and more inclusive?
first of all, I think that when they think of who their consumer is, they think their consumer is a affluent white woman. And I don't think that they're thinking that that the consumer mindset is shifting and people are really looking for and wanting to support the culture of a company versus just the product. And so people will spend more. I know I will. Or I won't spend on companies that I know don't sort of share my same values.
Exactly. I do tend to look at the mission of a brand before
Yes.
even purchasing from them.
And so I think some of these companies like Estee Lauder, or I did a little bit on Unilever, and we do kind of a little bit on Unilever's had some big controversy. I don't think that they think about it, care about it, or have invested they're too large of an organization with too many layers of management to really get the message at the top that needs to come down to the consumer.
But I also think it's possible. I was trying to figure out if the leaders in these top beauty brands who are of color, when they began their leadership role in those companies, and most of them are pretty recent. So I think as a way to become diverse and inclusive, maybe they hired men and women of color, and they probably think like, okay, we did that. So
Check the box.
exactly. Let's move on now. Honestly, that's when I was doing my research, I was like, okay, yeah, I think that they're just trying to.
I'm not a racist. I have a friend who's Black.
Right. Exactly. You hit the nail on the head. Yes. It's like, come on now. So, I mean, I think things need to be better, but I think they're heading in the right direction.
I think they are. I
guess.
think that particularly because people are speaking up. I was reading about, I said Unilever. They own They own a lot of stuff. Pears, VO5, Dove, St. Ives, Q-Tips, TIGI, I don't even know what that is. Fair and Lovely, Ultrex, Pond's, Lux, L. I don't know. Just, I don't, Caress, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I don't know.
Suave,
40 brands
Vaseline.
probably. So they have Dove, their Dove campaign, which is like every woman's beautiful, right? And they do this commercial with all these different women. But remember when they had the woman, it was a black woman in a sweater, and she took her sweater off and she became a white woman.
No freaking way.
Yes.
I did not know any of that. Oh my gosh.
And who thought that was a good idea?
No, Mary. No.
But then they're saying every woman's beautiful, but they also promote the product Fair and Lovely, which is a skin lightening, skin bleaching agent. And so those are two different, how can you have both of those going on at the same time in one company? They don't really hold true to that mission statement of a mission statement of inclusivity. So that created a lot of controversy.
Yeah. I can see why. I mean, as far as I know, I use Dove products all the time. Like, I think that's all I use for like my body. But you all know I'm in the YouTube world, and I see a lot of the women that I follow, they're doing Dove campaigns, and they're all women of color. So I think Dove is trying to do more with African American women specifically, of all shapes and sizes. I've been seeing like some of their new campaigns with like basically just all black women. So I think maybe they're just trying to make people forget about what you just said, because that is horrible.
Well, I'll send it to you in an email, and you're going to say what?
But it says that their mission is more about building like positive body image. Well, I guess that's definitely inclusivity. So they're just more focused on bodies instead of skin tones. But I think it's pretty good. I mean, they're doing something.
Well, I hope they've learned from this. I mean, this ad campaign, definitely. And I know they came out and was like, oh, it's regrettable. Regrettable? Who passed off on this? This wasn't just like somebody sitting at their desk thinking, oh, yeah, this is a good ad. Okay, here, let's just run this on national TV. It had to go up the ladder how many times? And nobody went, this isn't a good idea.
No, it was a horrible idea. Whoever did that should be fired, because it's horrible.
So I think they're trying to dig themselves out of the hole.
And just to give you all some stats, Unilever, out of the 13 on their executive committee, 5 are men and women of color. There were no, I thought that was the more diverse that I've seen. None of them are African American, but a lot of them are like Indian, Hispanic. So I think that's pretty good. And I think Unilever is kind of based in like the UK or somewhere. Yeah. So, and a lot of the executive committee is in China and France and stuff like that. So, yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. They're focused, as far as I've seen on their website, they're focused more on protecting the environment and sustainability. They didn't really have anything. Like, there was nothing about diversity and inclusion on their website, as far as I saw.
Oh, that's interesting.
I don't know if you saw anything different, but I didn't see much.
No, I got sidetracked down the rabbit hole of the kind of that advertisement. So
yeah. So I think there was another one I researched, which was L'Oreal. They are one of the largest cosmetic companies and top beauty brands in the world, which generates over 30 billion in annual beauty product sales, which is absolutely bananas. But let's see. L'Oreal. The leadership consists of mostly European men and women. Out of the 18 on the executive committee, 5 are women, and of those women, 2 are women of color. So basically, 2 out of the 18 are people of color. So
now so I have a little bit of more insight into L'Oreal in that I do create some educational content for SkinCeuticals, which is a L'Oreal brand. And in speaking with their global director, and she is a white woman, speaking with her, they are supporting and have given a large, first of all, SkinCeuticals recognizes that they have focused mostly on white skin, and that all of their clinical studies, when they come out with, we have all these clinical studies that prove the effectiveness, it's all been done on white skin. And they are now going back and redoing those clinical studies on skin of color because they're a global beauty brand across the world and only have studies done on white skin. Does that make sense? So they do feel that pressure to create more inclusivity, and they did give a large chunk of money to dermatologists of color. There's a particular group of dermatologists that are all skin of color, and they're doing a lot of research and actually creating educational material for people who are working with skin of color because, again, if you go look at medical reference material, dermatology reference material, if you want to look at what does rosacea look like, it only shows you a picture of a person with white skin. It doesn't show you what rosacea looks like on someone who has darker skin. And certain diseases and disorders present themselves and look different with darker skin tones.
Well, I think that's amazing. And I think it's great that you're working with them. I think it's also great that these brands, they say, yes, we have focused more on white skin. And I think that them owning up to that and then making a change is what we want to see instead of owning up to it and not doing anything about it. So I think that's amazing.
Well, and I think the consumer has to just push and push. I do know, and I also know that because Maybelline is owned by L'Oreal, and they have come out with different foundation colors.
I use Maybelline for my foundation. And still, when I go to Walmart, I only see like 7, 8. But I'm sure they're doing something about it. But it just needs to, get to the stores.
You need the buyer. You need the buyer at Walmart to buy in and buy more foundation colors, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, but like you said, a lot of the consumers, they are demanding for brands to be more accountable for their lack of inclusivity. And I think that is what is going to really just like push these brands to do better.
To make the changes. And I think that, because these big sort of luxury department store brands, I don't know about you, if you, like when you go into the department store and you go through that cosmetics section with all those different counters, I was reading that they're not, set up in a way that is attractive for a person of color to shop there. That women feel uncomfortable if they do want to, check out some makeup or check out foundations, or they want to have a makeover. I mean, most of the women working behind these counters are white women.
I was just about to say that. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a black woman in a Sephora. I usually go to Sephora. Sometimes I go to Ulta. I've never seen a black woman in Ulta or a man in Ulta.
Yeah, well, our medical director is black, and she said she just quit going there because she goes in there and she says people, their eyes get wide and they kind of put their hands up like, don't ask me about anything. I can't help you.
Yeah. And then I think that goes back to what we've discussed so many times is they put their hands up and like, I don't know what I'm talking about, because when they go to school, they don't teach that.
Yes.
So I'm thinking, like, would I go to someone who is not black if they knew what they were talking about? Yes, I would. If they were confident in knowing what they were talking about, I definitely would. But since they do not, we have to do our own research before we go into the stores. I would watch YouTube videos of what other African American creators were putting on their face, and then I would go into Sephora and purchase it, and then I'll be on my merry way. But you never, you know how sometimes those employees, they come up to you like, oh, let me put it on your face. No.
Would you like a makeover today?
Right. I've never had someone come up to me and ask if I would like to sample something or whatever. So I'm glad you said that, because I'm starting to recognize more and more like my consumer experience as a Black woman. So
yeah,
that's
even
very interesting.
My sister, I have a sister who works for Clinique, and she got a new manager who was Black, who came in. Now my sister's at her counter, and the manager comes in and says, why do you have your foundations listed lightest to darkest? And my sister's she's like, I want you to change that right now. And so.
Wow. So what do you think of that? Because I mean, honestly, I don't know. As a Black woman, I don't mind if the shades are lightest to darkest. That doesn't bother me. But I think because of the whole Black Lives Matter and all of this new inclusion and diversity stuff, I think they're like, you know what? Let's change things around completely. And let's do darkest to lightest. What could it hurt?
It's a good lesson, I guess, for people like my sister that are in that direct to a consumer mindset of like, it doesn't have to be lightest to darkest. It makes you switch your brain around and have a greater focus, and maybe pay attention to the customer walking through who might be a person of color, to say and stop them and like, hey, did you know we have, XYZ that I think would look great on your skin, versus you're only focusing on the first 6 shades of foundation that you have.
I think I would have noticed more if there were like 10 fair skin shades and like 3 darker skin. But other than that.
Yeah.
Because that's how Fenty Beauty is. Fenty has 40 shades, and they go from lightest to darkest. But I understand completely what you're saying. Is kind of just, why does it have to be one way?
Well, and I think another growing market is going to be a little bit of men wear makeup too now, and so I think beauty brands are going to, they need to become more diverse in recognizing LGBTQ community and in catering to a men's market, and to a men's market that's not necessarily like the rugged lumberjack guy that's going to wear, right? Like, what's that? The sailing ship aftershave, Old Spice, right? You got to have more beauty brands, or maybe beauty products, skincare products that are going to cater to just all male, female, and non-binary, everyone.
So basically you're saying not just those manly men, but those men who are also pretty feminine, I guess.
Yeah, well, and maybe not even feminine, but men who care about their skin.
Mm-hmm. Because manly men are characterized as, being dirt is best.
Yes.
What do I need that for? I just put soap and water on my face.
That's right. I wash my face with shampoo.
Yeah. Those 3-in-1 things. Like, men should not be using 3-in-1 anything. Shampoo, body wash, and conditioner, or whatever. No. I mean, just like women don't have a 3-in-1. Do you know women products who have 3-in-1? I don't use anything that's 3-in-1.
No, absolutely not. The more little bottles on the bathroom counter, the better.
Right. So men need the same. And I think I've seen it a lot on Instagram, where some of like the small businesses are catering more to men and teaching men that their skin is important, and no, you cannot just use soap and water.
But I don't know if these big beauty brands, the ones that we've been talking about, do they have things out there for the men's market? I think it's just smaller brands.
Yeah, I don't. No, I don't think
But I
so.
can't say I know for sure. But I have a feeling it's all sort of directed towards, like I said, the affluent white woman, as opposed to, and it's those smaller brands, the Fenty. I'm trying to think of what's another one that was sort of a little bit more non-traditional. Well, even our that skincare that I sent you. Oh goodness sakes. With the owner in New York who's trying to create a skincare line for transgender.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I just I just looked at it yesterday too. I don't remember what the brand is, but yeah.
Yeah, I think he's got such a great idea with, and it's like simple systems of skincare for that group of people that are struggling, as they have different hormones and all that kind of stuff, going through hormonal changes, that they have a system for someone who's transitioning male to female and a system for female to male. And I thought it was just brilliant.
Darn it, I was just about to, I thought I found the company name, but I lost it. As I go into Ulta and Sephora, I actually look for certain things now. So
Oh,
it's very interesting. I have to say, as a Black woman, I wasn't woke. Let's just say I was not woke. So I'm becoming more and more woke now.
well, so what kinds of things do you look for?
I look for like the range in shades.
Mm-hmm.
I look for diversity in like employees.
Oh, yeah.
What we talked about before. I look at what is at the forefront. Like, how sometimes they have like those huge displays of certain makeup. Like I look at what is being displayed. And I think I went into Ulta the other day, and I think right when I walked in, there was like I don't remember, but it was a brand and it was dedicated to transgender or the LGBTQ community.
Ooh.
So I saw that and I was like, awesome.
Awesome. Have you heard of One Size? So that
No.
I think is in some, maybe Sephora or Ulta, and they're focused on sort of men and women, but LGBTQ.
Oh, by Patrick Starr?
Yeah.
I love Patrick Starr. I barely
I don't know
watch
who
any
Patrick
of-
Starr is.
Oh, and it's crazy because he went to the same high school that I did.
Oh my
in
gosh.
Orlando. I know. I used to watch him all the time on YouTube, but he is a man and he's a gay man. And he just built his brand from YouTube. He's a makeup artist, but yeah, I mean, he's doing it up.
Oh, wow. I did read about doing some research for today about how the online experience for people of color is much better than the in-store experience, because online they're making it better. Graphics and all that kind of stuff is better for like determining your right shade, and they have more color options. I mean, because, okay, it's more than foundation, but also warm skin tones and cool skin tones, and what kind of, lip colors and eye colors are going to look
Right.
well. And that
Yeah.
the online experience is better than the in-store experience.
I can agree to that because I think we just talked about why it is. It's no one knows what they're talking about in those stores.
Now, we do carry, here at the school, we do carry Beauty Bakery. Have you heard of Beauty Bakery?
I have. Yeah.
And yeah, we carry their foundations because our mineral makeup, we do carry advanced mineral makeup, and it just does not have the darker shades of foundation. So Beauty Bakery has been really great for us so that, everybody can feel good about the makeup that they're putting on.
And I'm looking at the One Size quizzes. They have a foundation quiz, an eyebrow quiz, and a concealer quiz.
An eyebrow quiz. What would you be quizzing on your eyebrows?
What color is your eyebrow?
Oh,
Is
yeah.
it light blonde, red, light brown, dark brunette, brown, or gray?
Oh, yeah. No, brows. This is my girls are always going after me with my brows. If ever they want to like do my makeup, they pencil in my brows. And then I just feel like I look like someone has taken like Groucho Marx magic marker and just squished it across my face. I cannot do brows. So
I don't do brows. I'm very minimal with makeup. I could not do my brows. I don't do lip liner, eyeliner, nothing that takes me like keeping my hand still, because it's just gonna look a mess. But yeah, I mean, the brows, like especially now with wearing masks, brows and lashes, that's all you got.
yeah, that is absolutely true.
You better do it right.
Well, I just fade into the fade into the background. No makeup. But I got all my 20-step lotions and potions in the morning, so.
Yeah, the stuff that you sent me, I've been using it, and I've honestly seen a difference.
Oh,
with
yay.
my. And the thing is, I was wondering why I needed a discoloration defense. But I mean, I trust you, so I just started using it.
Well, it's just going to help. So it's, where you get PIH. It's going to just help that kind of fade and kind of put those melanocytes that are overproducing, put them to sleep a little bit so that they produce more slowly. That'll give you more even skin tone.
Yeah. I've definitely, like, even when I touch my skin now, it's a lot softer.
Oh, good.
I don't have to wear makeup as much anymore. I'm just loving it. I'm loving it. So, thank you.
Absolutely.
Because I was struggling over here. So, I guess we can talk about the last thing is like, where is there still room for improvement? I mean, we kind of went over it, but especially in those bigger brands. I had a question actually. Do you honestly think that bringing on more men and women of color into these executive positions, do you think it will really make a difference, or do they really need to get inside and research and hook up with, beauty influencers of color and stuff like that? Like, do you honestly think that, oh, I am a man and woman of color at the top of L'Oreal? Do you think that it's honestly going to make a long-term difference?
So I think yes, but it's going to take a generation of not just one person, because it's so entrenched. It's got so many fingers and feelers that sort of move down through the company, and these multi-billion-dollar companies have so many layers of management that somebody at the top, I don't think one person and a board of 15 people or whatever has the ability to create that level of change all the way down to the consumer. I think all those old guys need to retire and get replaced by people that have their ear or their vision more towards identifying with their consumer and creating products that the consumer is going to believe in.
Mm-hmm. And I think, like you said, there has to be like a personal connection to get people to stick with the company and purchase. So I think it all goes, like, we need to see like, it needs to be a multi-ethnic leadership. Like, even, I don't even know if this will ever happen. I hope it does. But even like the LGBTQ, like, we need to have some of those in these executive leaderships. Like, the LGBTQ community, like, they purchase a lot. They're a huge part of the beauty brand. So, and I think that's why small businesses are forming, because they don't see it. So we need to have more of those in executive committees, and then they need to partner up with these smaller brands and just kind of make a big difference. Like, it just, I don't know.
Well, do you think any of these smaller brands are going to get bought out? So say, I mean, Fenty Beauty, obviously
Yeah.
$1 million brand, but would it get bought out by, say, a L'Oreal or a Unilever or?
Do I think Rihanna will allow that to happen? I think if those bigger brands, if their mission is really to be more diverse and inclusive, yes. But Fenty Beauty, honestly, I don't see it happening. But some of those smaller brands, yeah, I can see it happening.
Yeah, I think if they buy out some of these smaller brands and then the people that are in leadership in the smaller brand can stay in leadership in the larger corporation,
Exactly.
then I think there's a chance for faster improvements, faster progress.
Definitely. Yeah. So I think the answer to the room for improvement, I think there will forever be room for improvement. But we're slowly getting there. I think it's a lot better than it was 2-3 years ago. Pretty darn sure. So, hey, progress is progress. We're looking for progress, not perfection here.
That's right.
So,
Always moving forward. When you know better, do better.
integrity, people.
Yes.
Integrity. Okay, well, I think we've kind of hit all the points. We've compared the types of leaders in these major beauty corporations. We talked about if their products are inclusive. And then we lastly talked about, the room for improvement and are these companies actually doing what they say they're going to do. So I think we've hit all the nails.
Yes. Well, I just wanted to end with Uoma Beauty.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Uoma Beauty. So just 2 years from launch, they had a revenue of $10 million.
Wow.
And their owner...
That is amazing.
I know. Their owner says, I think that should be a lesson to everyone on the power of including people, on the power of purpose, because it's not just a thing for charity. It's very, very good for business. And I think that for any brand that can't adjust, they're going to go obsolete.
Oh, yes. I love that, especially that last sentence.
Yes.
If they cannot adjust, they're going to go obsolete.
I think
Definitely.
that will happen.
Yeah, and I think that's a great ending to this podcast. It's basically talking about that's just a sentence of, that sentence said everything. All right, so I guess that is the end of the podcast or this episode. I really hope you all enjoyed it. I always love to plug in our social medias, so you can find us at Fearless Beauties on Facebook, Instagram, our Fearless Beauties podcast on Apple Music, Spotify, what else? fearlessbeauties.org, where you can check out our ambassadors, Fearless Beauty certification. We have it all. So yeah, anything else, Mary?
No, I think you covered it.
All right. So we'll see you all in 2 weeks.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
Thank you for listening to Fearless Beauties, a show dedicated to elevating voices of color in the beauty industry. I'm your host, Mary Nielsen.
And I'm your other host, Taylor Phillip. Until next time, keep educating yourself, remember to stay open, and be fearless in the pursuit of creating a better, more inclusive world.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and leave us a review. Special thanks to my co-host Taylor and our producers at Quill Inc.